Well, the Israeli military and Hezbollah have exchanged fire in southern Lebanon. Israeli warplanes struck a target near the border town of Hula as tension remains high. Let's go to Imran Khan, who's in Mayadeen in southern Lebanon. Imran, it appears that the intensity of the Israeli attacks on Lebanon appear to have escalated. Talk us through what's happened this morning.
Yes, certainly there have been more incidents today than there have been in, say, the last 4 days. There have been several incidents, including that one you spoke about in Hula. Also in Hula, just about 2 hours ago, there were another 2 airstrikes. Hula's in the eastern part of the southern Lebanese border. Now, in the disputed Ayta al-Shab area, Israeli special forces from the Maglan reconnaissance unit actually left their base to conduct a clearing operation near but not across the disputed border. The Israeli army radio claims it was for landmines, but Lebanese media say the unit was spotted by what they're calling resistance forces and turned back. That would have been a very big escalation if the Israeli forces had gone across that disputed border. Also, 10 Israeli airstrikes in Wadi al-Sulaki. That's more airstrikes than that area has seen since hostilities broke out on October the 8th. We've seen a number of Hezbollah rockets being fired across into disputed Israeli territory, including 3 into the central Galilee area. Now, all of this is alarming to both the international community and to the Lebanese government as well. Hezbollah have always made it very clear they're not going to negotiate leaving this area until there's an end to the war in Gaza. The American diplomats, French diplomats have tried to push Hezbollah to come to some sort of agreement. That hasn't happened. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is also clear as well that he wants his people back in their homes on the northern side of the Israeli border. But that isn't going to happen while both sides are doing this tit for tat. So far, it remains contained. And that's really the only ball game in town, is to try and make sure that everything remains contained within this border area and escalation doesn't happen outside. But in the last 10 days or so, we have seen the Israelis hit targets deeper into Lebanese territory, and that's led to retaliation from Hezbollah deeper within Israeli territory.
OK, thank you for that. Imran Khan there for us in Mayadeen in southern Lebanon. Let's get more on this. We can speak to Elijah Maglan, a military and political analyst. He joins us now live from Brussels. So I want to pick up on what we were hearing from our correspondent there. What do you make of these latest attacks by the Israeli army on southern Lebanon? They've used warplanes and artillery to target several areas. Is this the largest attack so far that Israel has conducted in Lebanon since the war began?
Well, it is still within the rule of engagement that were established at the beginning of the war on the 8th of October, when Hezbollah had decided to start the war on its front against Israel in support of Gaza. Therefore, what we have seen today is only an intensified bombardment, nothing more, and the bombardment target an open area, not particularly something strategic or any attack that can degrade the capability of Hezbollah. On the contrary, we've seen everything is still under control. We've seen the exchange of bombardment is still happening on both sides. And we also have seen a lack of appetite of the Israelis to enlarge the front and start hitting
let me interrupt you there. You say that there's a lack of appetite, but when you look at some of the actions, I mean, for example, we've seen videos released by the Israeli army today showing soldiers on the border, on the northern border with Lebanon, conducting military exercises. We heard from the head of the Northern Command saying that more soldiers have now been deployed to the north. I mean, what does that tell us? Is Israel planning to step up their operations, or is this just a warning?
I don't think so, because we have seen how Hezbollah and the Israelis understand one another. Also, we have seen Hezbollah has used more than 1,000 laser-guided missiles against the Israeli objectives in the last 3 months, which is an indication from the military point of view that Hezbollah has so many of these missiles that can hit targets as far as 8 kilometers. This prevents the Israeli from thinking about any ground operation. And already the Israelis have between 40 to 50,000 soldiers on that front, and they're not giving any indication of a ground attack. They're just giving indications of sustaining this balance on that front, trying to intimidate Hezbollah that is really careless about what the Israelis are saying, understanding that Israel doesn't have the capability economically, militarily, and the Americans behind them to enlarge the front on Lebanon.
I also want to ask you about Israel's operations in Gaza at the moment. They say that the intensive phase of their Gaza offensive has ended. We've seen them remove troops from the north and deploy them elsewhere. Yet today we saw Hamas fire a barrage of dozens of rockets from an area in northern Gaza where Israeli forces have recently withdrawn from. What does that tell us?
It tells us that the level of confusion of the Israeli army and the politician is reaching a level of unprecedented behavior on both sides, where they tell us that they have ended the operation in the north, and then soon they will end it in the south. This is what the defense minister, Yoav Gallant, said. And then the next day, we hear a return of the Israeli army to conduct limited operation, but then we see the resistance firing from Beit Hanun, the area that was attacked on the 27th of October, and what Israel declared from the third beginning its occupation to the camp, where the Palestinians are firing 50 rockets in one day. And they fired yesterday, the day before yesterday. It's obvious that the Israelis really are so confused they have not achieved their objective. This is what the Chief of Staff Halevi said: in the lack of clear objectives, we're going toward a defeat. This is what the Israeli defense minister again said: if we don't win this war, it will be the end of Israel. And they're both right, because they're not winning, they're not reaching their objectives. It means they have failed.
OK, Elijah, really interesting to talk to you and get your perspective. Elijah Maglan, military and political analyst, speaking to us there from Brussels.